Adopted Acres, Day 2, Homestead Barbershop. Today on Barber Dave's Shaves and Such. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome to Monday. Today we are continuing our Adopted Acres Soap Company review. This time we're using his take on a barbershop scent, which is Homestead Barber. I am using the same equipment that I used yesterday. I'll show you that at the end of the shave, which is the CV Helgestrand MK32 and the Morrison Fondran Apolline brush, my nemesis brush. And the reason, like I said in yesterday's video, the reason why I chose this brush is because it is a lather hog, and a lather that does well with this brush can do well with any brush. I'm not going to go over the story of Adopted Acres soaps again. This product was sent to me for review. However, very unique story. Doug Lane and his family own Adopted Acres in Asheville, Ohio. And you definitely need to check him out. I'll put the link in the description and in it. But if you want to hear the story, just go to yesterday's video. As a barber and as a shop owner, and having been in this game for a long time, I think I'm fairly well qualified to determine what a barbershop scent should smell like. And that being the case, there are many artists and makers out there that rely on powder. And although, yes, powder is an aspect of the barbershop fragrance, it's very light. However, most of the barbershop scents that I smell are way too powdery. That's not what a barbershop smells like. So what are the components that make up a good barbershop scent? Well, if you want to really get an idea, just if you get a chance to smell Rive Gauche Pour Homme by YSL or Fine American Blend. However, there are a few soaps out there that really capture the barbershop scent. CBL has one, Sterling has one, although a little powdery for my taste, and then Mike's Barbershop. However, that being said, so you want the smell of hot lather, okay, which is, most of the hot lathers are based on a Barbasol type fragrance. You want the smell of Barbicide, which is a disinfectant for combs and for other things. You want the smell of the yellow cleaner that you put your stuff in. You want the smell of ozone because of all the electronics. You want the smell of heated towels that have been dipped in a sanitizer. You want Lysol in there. That is a true barbershop scent. And I've got to say, with this scent, Doug nailed it. Nailed it. Now, it could be argued that there are two different types of barbershop scents. There are the old school barbershop, which is really the only one that matters in my opinion. And you've got the new school barbershops. The old school barbershops will smell as I described, with the addition of some old barbershop chair leather, strop and linen leather. Those are all the true barbershop scents. the new barbershops smell like Johnny B Clipper oil, because it's those are hustle shops. Get in, get out, go away. So I think most soap makers, when they make a barbershop soap, they usually look for the traditional, but in my opinion, they make the fatal flaw of adding way too much powder. This one does not. This one captures almost all of the fragrances that I mentioned. And it has an old school feel to it. This is a different base, and I did not talk to Doug as to what the base is. It's still, of course, a tallow soap rendered by the cows in his herd, but it's a different base. I do, with this brush, again, it is doing very well. Not quite as thick and cushiony as the new base. However, that being said, and I've used this, I used this last week. That being said, I find it just as slick. I find it, the post pass residual slickness is fantastic. I would say the strength of scent on this is a 4, but it lingers, so it doesn't go away. Believe it or not, it does have a better glide with a straight razor than the soap I used yesterday, but let me caveat that by saying that the new base, Summit Trail, does require a lot more water. And I'm still working out the water, where this is pretty much a no-brainer. You load for 15 to 20 seconds or 30 if you want it heavy. Add water once or twice, and she's ready to rock. And you really true get that barbershop feel as you're shaving. And how some of you may be asking, how do I qualify that? Well, number one, I spend every day of the week in a barbershop. Number two, what does the barbershop, okay, let me qualify that. Oh, and also hair, believe it or not, hair is a fragrance that component, because you've got a bunch of different people coming in that may have product on, may not have product on, may have hairspray on, may not have had hairspray on, and then the fragrances of shampoos, conditioners, that's all intermingled. So I look at 3 criteria when I'm looking at a barbershop fragrance. One, how does the barbershop smell when you first walk in the door? That's when you're usually hit with the Lysol, the sanitizer, the barbicide, the Swift cleaner, then secondly, during the day, you get the hot towels. But more importantly, what does the barbershop smell like when you're actually doing a haircut and shave on somebody? So that would be component number 2. And then component number 3 is when you're finishing with a client, you're putting talc on their neck and face, finishing up their comb or their hair with whether it be gel, whether it be mousse, whether it be a spray and conditioner and hairspray. All of those items are what make up a barbershop. Now, in your traditional barbershop, they're going to be Aquanet, that type of smell. Not necessarily the product, because that product's junk, but just the smell. So those are those three components that I look at when I'm evaluating a barbershop scent. And as I said earlier, probably the most iconic barbershop fragrance is Rive Gauche Pour Homme, which in the original Barbasol can, which I'll show you in a minute, because it was when they designed that fragrance, it was meant to be the smell of Barbasol in the can, being only one component, and then Fine American Blend basically duped that. And as I said, almost every soap maker has a barbershop scent. Most, however, fail, in my opinion, because it's too powdery. Not that they're bad soaps and they don't smell like a barbershop, but they're too powder forward at the end, where you have to get that synergy of all those scents that I mentioned into the soap. And this does it beautifully. Now the argument could be made, well, Dave, all barbershops smell different. That's true. That's true, but they all have the basic same components, because when it comes to the Lysol, the Barbicide, and stuff like that, that's all stuff we have to use on a day-to-day basis, as is the hot lather and some of the other soaps. Now, my barbershop smells a little bit more Western, because I do use the Hombre's barbershop soap all the time. So it's got more leather, more dirt, for lack of a better term, but it's got all those other fragrances. So, again, I would say this soap is just a tad slicker than Summit Trail. Again, that's because I think the soap to water ratio in this base is a little bit easier to attain. The cushion on this one is much less, but I feel that the glide's just a little bit better. And post-shave feel on this, hours down the road, is better. Not by a lot, but is better. I feel that my face feels more hydrated with this. And I actually took this soap in an aftershave to my shop and kind of allowed it to open up a little bit, just so I could see how it was as a barbershop soap. And it was perfect. And I'm going to make a statement at the end of this that I don't make lightly, nor do I make based on the fact that this was a soap that was given to me for review. But again, beautiful, beautiful lather. And you want to definitely put this on your face, rub it in your face post-shave. Kind of like a pre-after shave, so to speak. Because it is just absolutely wonderful. So I've got two statements that some people might be surprised about that are used to using Adopted Acres soaps. And also, the beginning shave next week on Sunday, I'm going to use another one of his shave soaps that's Cherry Mint. And that was how I was first introduced to Adopted Acres. My good friend Rich Blount, Major Rich Shaves. Make sure you check him out, Safety Cat Studios on YouTube. He sent me some because I think that Doug made this made the cherry mint for the Ohio Wet Shavers meetup, I believe. I may be wrong there, but just good stuff. No sting hardly on the alum, which I never get much. Okay, again, the razor today, the CV Helgestrand MK32, the queen, and she was good to me today. Hopefully she'll be good to me tomorrow. The shaving soap again, Adopted Acres, Homestead Barbershop. The brush, which we will clean up real quick. You've seen it before. This brush will hold what seems to be a gallon of water. But again, the Morrison Fordran Appolina, and that's got a Rudy Vey. I believe it's a Super Badger. Yeah, Super Badger 3-band Badger knot. Rinse this off. We'll get to the rest of the stuff. The residual slickness after rinse is about the same as Summit Trail. One thing I do notice that after alum, it's a little bit, the Homestead Barbershop, in my opinion, is a little bit better moisturizing. Now, that could be a lot of factors. It could be the way my face reacts to it, because the one thing I noticed when I first used this last Wednesday is that I found myself face gerbating almost all day long because the softness on the skin was just amazing. So we'll let that dry down for a second. So the statements that I was going to make. One, this nails the barbershop scent. Just as the second time really, or third time using this soap, I have to say that as far as the overall experience of the shave, I do give a nod and a lean to Homestead Barbershop over Summit Trail. Now we have pumpkin sandalwood Noir that we're going to be doing tomorrow, but so far this is the clear winner for me. Granted, I'm a little biased, but the fragrances are just fantastic. Just amazing. I really, really like it. So again, with the aftershave, you have two choices. How Doug sends this at Adopted Acre Soaps. He sends this with, it actually comes on the sprayer, and then this is separately packed, vacuum sealed. Again, and one thing I forgot to tell you yesterday, so when I was looking at that card, I forgot to say that on the card that he gave me, it says, enjoy your soaps, and on the back it says Eli. So it's personally signed by the person who, and I assume that's one of his kids, actually packaged everything. So just, again, just sustainability. So then you do have this cap that comes with it, and that's the way I use it. Like I said, this does have talc in it, but in a perfect ratio to all the other barbershop fragrances. Now, I should say I'm not knocking anybody else's barbershop scent, because that may be the way it smells to them. Everybody, you know, that's like that old adage with, oh, what's the heck? Oh, you know, don't get old. You start just going pink. It's an herb that you use in salsa. Oh my God, it starts with a C. It's right on there. But anyhow, cilantro. See, my assistant was able to tell me cilantro. So to some people, they put it in their mouth and it tastes like bleach. I don't know where they get that from, but to me, I love the taste of cilantro. I could eat cilantro raw. So that could be part of the reason why certain people's interpretation of a barbershop scent is what it is. But I spend every day of the week in a barbershop, and I'm doing shaves, and this one nails everything. It nails, one, the scent when you walk in, two, as you're doing a haircut and as you're doing a shave, and three, post-shave in the barbershop on a client with the talc and everything else. Perfect. So here's my bold statement. I have to admit that I think, in my opinion, Homestead Barbershop is the finest barbershop style scent that I've ever used, period. Number two would probably be one of CBL's soaps as far as the soap's concerned, but as far as the aftershave, if you want that true Rive Gauche clone, then it's American Blend. But as far as walking into a barbershop, using it, Doug, you nailed it. And I'm not just saying that. Today, we are going to be using talc. And if you use this soap, you got to use Clubman, because that is the talc fragrance that you get out of this soap is definitely Clubman. Oh, yeah. So it matches perfectly with what you're using. And as I said, the post-shave feel with this is better than Summit Trail, I gotta say, for me. And then we are going to be using the goat, Rive Gauche Pour Homme. I don't have very much of it left, so I'm going to be very sparing with it. I mean, you can find it on the secondary market, but these, and the can was designed after the Barbasol shave cream can. And this is perfect. It's not, so this is not a dupe to Rive Gauche. It's standalone scent, but it captures everything. Okay, kids, that's it for a Monday. It's Barber Errand Day. But I'll put the link to Doug's Etsy shop. You got to get this one. To me, it's my absolute favorite barbershop scent, period. End of story. And also, one thing I didn't mention yesterday, he sent me a chunk of, he does bath soaps too, and he sent me a chunk. I haven't used it yet, but it's called Seaside Lilac. And I'm sure that is going to probably steal it from me, but it'd be worth to try. Anyhow, I'm Barber Dave. This has been Barber Dave Shaves and Such. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, share, comment. Please comment. And check out our other channels. And check out all my friends on YouTube. It would certainly be appreciated. We'll see you again tomorrow with, since we're close to Halloween, Pumpkin Sandalwood Noir. Doon, 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 doon. Okay. And I'll have a different opening since it's close to Halloween. Anyhow, see you later.